Genesis chapter 31 had an event that ultimately led to nothing. It was Jacob fleeing from Laban in the first place, and then Laban pursuing him, I guess because he was upset that Jacob left with no warning, and with his two daughters / Jacob's cousins. Rachel got out of theft by blaming her period, and now Esau is about to meet back up with Jacob. The last time Jacob and Esau saw each other, Jacob had stolen his blessing from his father Isaac, from their father Isaac. They're twins, and he tricked Isaac into giving him Esau's blessing. It was one of the many, many terrible things Jacob has done in his life. He's done almost no good, actually. And the title of this section is Jacob Prepares to Meet Esau. So I guess he knows he's coming, and he's just waiting for it. Esau sounds like he's much bigger, stronger, and hairier, so I think physically he'd have the advantage. If they were trapped in a cage match together, I'd put my money on Esau. But let's see what happens, because I don't actually remember what happens in this story. This is chapter 32. Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. That's so nice that it gets like personal service from God's angels. How many angels does God have? Are these the ones with the eyeballs and all the spinning circles, or are they like humanoid angels? So he named that place Mahanaim. I guess if you were like living in this time and you could also read, then you knew a lot of these areas and locations if you lived near them. So you could be like, oh, that's where Jacob met the angels. Do we know where these places are today? Are they still the same names? We have records of where they were. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. So he knows Esau's out there somehow for some reason. That hasn't been explained to us. He knows his brother's there. I would be nervous if I was Jacob because I would know what an awful person I was and all the bad things I'd done, and I wouldn't think my brother would be happy about it. In fact, his brother was not happy about it whenever he said so in a previous chapter. He instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my lord Esau." Okay, good. He's plotting. He knows what he's got a game plan. "Your servant Jacob says, I have been staying with Laban, and I have remained there until now. I have cattle and donkeys and sheep and goats, male and female servants. Now I am that's the end of the list. Now I am sending this message to my lord, that I may find favor in your eyes, person that I stole birthright and blessing from." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau," so we don't get the part of the story where Esau actually delivers the message or receives the messengers. "We went to your brother Esau, and now he's coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." Oh man, this is like the Spartans. This is like 300, 400. I would be very nervous as scrawny little Jacob right now. He's got his flocks and his riches, but he does not have protection. Not against 400 men. How did Esau get 400 men? How do you get 400 men? In great fear. Yeah, that would be me too. In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups. "Scooby, Shaggy, you go that way. Rachel, Leah, you're with me." Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. So he just divided up everything. He thought if Esau comes and attacks one group, the group that is left may escape. It's perfect. It's a perfect plan. This is how I imagine the rich trying to evade retaliation by the public. If they're ever turned on, they're going to be like, "I'll split up my wealth so that at least some of it's left. My billions can be split and my retirement can still last many lifetimes." Then Jacob prayed. Oh yeah, I bet he prayed. He probably is praying like Homer prays in The Simpsons, like just when he needs something. "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you who said to me, 'Go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper.'" Well, I love when people quote God back to him. "I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant." Yep, you sure are. "I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become two camps. Oh, all my donkeys and my camels have been split in two. All my male and female servants are half of what they were, but in two different places. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, because I've done terrible things to my brother." That's not in the Bible, that's me. "Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children." Yeah, I'd be worried too. Jacob, you've been a real dirtbag to everyone in your entire life. All of your pursuits are selfish. But you have said, "I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted. So Jacob's now pleading and bargaining and trying to use God's own words as leverage against him. You told me I would prosper. Show up and save me now. Don't let him kill me. Technically God could just have his born descendants. He has a bunch of kids with Leah and Rachel. He doesn't need to keep Jacob alive anymore. God could come back and be like, too bad, so sad. You will have descendants, but you will not live much longer either. That's what I would say. That's what I would say if I was God. Jacob's talking to me. I wouldn't have helped Jacob in the first place. He spent the night there, and from what he had with him, he selected a gift for his brother Esau. Here you go, Esau. Please don't kill me with your 400 men. 200 female goats and 20 male goats. 200 ewes and 20 rams. 30 female camels with their young. 40 cows and 10 bulls. And 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. This guy is rich. If you had that today, you would be wealthy. That's a hard asset. He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds. He just puts everyone and everything between himself and danger. He instructed the one in the lead, when my brother Esau meets you and asks, who do you belong to? And where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you? He's fully fleshing out the scenario for him. Who are you? Who do you belong to? Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you here? Then you are to say, they belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us. Why doesn't Jacob just walk another direction? He doesn't have to go towards Esau. Why didn't he just keep going past Gilead to another land, somewhere he doesn't get murdered? He also instructed the second, the third, and all of the others who followed the herds. I guess they got tired of counting. You are to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, your servant Jacob is coming behind us. For he thought, I will pacify him with the gifts I am sending on ahead. Later, when I see him, perhaps he will receive me. It's a risky game you're playing, Jacob. Not one that I would do. Not for the things you've done, for the things Esau has suffered. So Jacob's gifts went ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. Oh boy, the story's heating up. The next passage is called Jacob Wrestles with God. We're still chapter 32. This is the end of chapter 32. And this is another famous story, and I don't know why. This is Jacob physically wrestling with God for some reason. And for some other reason, it's always told in church. Maybe I'll remember the significance of this or why it's always talked about. Jacob wrestles with God. That night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of Jabbok. That sounds like something out of Star Wars. Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. So, just a man. I think God's coming. Maybe that was just like the warm-up, like the mini-boss before God. A man wrestled with him till daybreak. That's a long time. Also, why did he do this? Why is he just wrestling with someone? Why did he send off his family and his possessions and then just wrestle with someone as he's going to meet his brother? I don't understand, even with context. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. That didn't sound good. It's wording it kind of softly, but it says touched the socket like he dislocated his hip. Is that what that means? His hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. That sounds painful and not good for your hip. Then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. Now the sun came up. Let's stop wrestling. It's daybreak now. No more wrestling in daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. The man asked him, what is your name? Jacob, he answered. Is this just God? Is just God in disguise? Why are they not saying it's God? Then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. That's what the story's about? He wrestles with God until the morning and overcomes both him and man. Jacob said, please tell me your name. That's polite. Jacob said, please tell me your name. But he replied, why do you ask my name? Then he blessed him there. So Jacob didn't even know who this guy was. He just said, everyone go away And then by himself, he starts wrestling with some dude in the night that he found in the desert. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." So this is interesting. Before we wrap up here, there's a few more sentences, but I know that there's a story at some point, and I think it's Moses that this happens with, where he goes on top of a mountain and he wants to see God's face, and God won't allow it because he said his face is too holy for, I think, Moses, or whoever it is. It's someone, but I think it's Moses. It's, "My face is too holy for you to look at." And he turns his back and says, "You can look at my back, but not at my face because you'll die from the holiness." So it's kind of strange in the context of this story. If he wrestled with God, he said, "It is because I saw God face to face, my life was spared." So that's a kind of a strange discrepancy. Anyone want to take a shot at that one in the comments? You want to justify that one for me? To me, this just sounds like a conflict in the Bible, like a logical conflict. The fact that he can touch, smell, see God, look at his face. He literally says face to face with God. This is where a lot of people, like, I'm not trying to ruffle feathers, honestly, but a lot of people would just start making excuses at this point. Well, this man was in a human form. He wasn't in his godly form. So Moses saw the godly version that was too holy because that was like a spiritual form. But this human version, that one doesn't kill you by sight. I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty weak argument. If there are other arguments I'm not mentioning, if you think I'm being unfair for some reason, please tell me. I'm actually asking because I don't understand why we can't simply and openly admit, even as a Christian, you can look at this and be like, yeah, that's strange. That doesn't really line up with the later story you're talking about. I've never thought about those two things at the same time. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get so fired up there. The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, I guess the place he named himself, and he was limping because of his hip. Yeah, his dislocated hip. That doesn't feel good. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip. What? Because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. Why? Why would you? I mean, okay, if you don't want to do that, but why would that be a big deal? They don't eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip. They ate tendons before? I mean, I just wouldn't want to eat a tendon because it's a tendon. Tendons are gross. You can't chew them. But okay, let's be fair. We live in an age of prosperity. We make incredible amounts of food. This is before the agricultural revolution, so I guess you just ate everything. But why would, even if you did eat everything for the sake of calorie conservation, why would the fact that Jacob's hip being touched by God cause you to not eat the tendon? It's not like I'm going to figure it out here. There, if you want to comment on that one, do that one. If you can't explain the Jacob saw the face of God question, can you explain the tendon one? Help me out here, guys. And if you're still watching, leave a like on the video. Your retention time was probably enough, but the like will help as well. And if you're someone who does that, you're probably someone who's also willing to like or leave a comment. I've already asked for them. I won't do anything more than that. The next chapter is called Jacob Meets Esau. So we're finally having our showdown, our confrontation. Check in tomorrow to pick up, in 2 days from now, to pick up on that one.